Hello! Today I'm going to demonstrate the Simularity Correlation Explorer, which is running on top of the Simularity High Performance Correlation Engine. The data set that we have loaded today is the 2009 NEDS data summary. This comes from the AHRQ, and it's got 28.8 million records from emergency department visits across the country in 2009. And we start with a brief orientation on the data. About 55% are female. Private insurance paid for the majority there. The majority of the visits in this data set were in the south of the United States. We can look at the ages for the patients in this data set. They go from 0 all the way up to 124. So the first thing that we do with the Correlation Explorer is define a cohort of visits that we'd like to look at. For this example, let's look at females, and let's also narrow that down by diagnosis and select a diabetes diagnosis. This should get us a fairly large cohort. The data set is largely female, 55% female, and diabetes is a very common condition. And so we're selecting any diabetes diagnosis code. And the nature of the Correlation Explorer is it looks for correlations on any of the particular fields. You can choose any of them. Since emergency departments are primarily where people go when they have accidents and they record the type of accidents in this data set, let's look at what type of accidents are most strongly correlated with this particular cohort that we've looked at. The third step to doing one of these queries is to look at the metrics and see if you want to change the metrics. The default is upper p-value, which is frequently used in medical research, so we'll stick with the default for now. But you have a variety of other similarity or correlation metrics you can choose from. Now, none of this is pre-calculated. What we've done is told the high performance correlation engine to look at women with a diabetes diagnosis and calculate correlations for all the error codes to tell us the most correlated ones. And it's doing it in real time. You can look in the Correlation Explorer at the results in a variety of ways. It defaults to the metric bar chart, and these three items here, which is a little hard to see in this view, are the most correlated error codes. You can look at it by number of events instead of the p-value metric. You can also look at it in a tabular form, which is the easiest to read for me. With p-values, a p-value of less than 0.05 is generally considered statistically significant. So given that criteria, only these first three p-values indicate a statistically significant correlation. The first is adverse effects of medical drugs, adverse effects of medical care, and falls. Up here we find out there are 1.2 million women with diabetes that comprise our cohort set. Over here, it mentions there are 28.8 million events in this universe, and over here it tells you how many events for each of these items are in the filter set, events for each of these items in the universe, the rate of occurrence in the filter set, and the rate of occurrence in the universe. And you can export all of this to Excel if you want to make additional charts or reports using Excel there. So, falls, women with diabetes, that's pretty interesting. Let's change the analysis and say, I wonder what it is for men. Maybe it's different for men, maybe it's the same. What do you guess? So now we're looking at men with diabetes and what error codes are going to be most strongly correlated with them in this data set here. Again, none of this is pre-calculated, and here we go. We've got p-value analysis on that. Let's look at the report. Oh, the first two are the same, adverse effects of medical drugs and adverse effects of medical care, but this third one is different. And again, these three are the statistically significant correlated error codes in this cohort. There are 1 million events in this data set, and suffocation is strongly correlated for men, and falls are actually anti-correlated with a p-value of 1. So this is an example of how you can use Simularity software to discover patterns in your data. This demo is running on hardware that costs a total of $3,000. We'd love to tell you more. Please visit us at www.simularity.com.